Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining me on this episode of Val Talks Pets. Here we are at the end of February, and in many climates, there is still a fair bit of winter to go. Dog coats and boots are still high on the list of purchases. So let me give you the options and the honest truth on pet apparel and footwear. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Val Talks Pets, the forum for pet parents and enthusiasts alike. Having been in the pet industry for over 10 years now, I'm going to share with you issues and questions that arise as I work with pet parents on a day-to-day basis. I am not a veterinarian, but I do have certifications in canine, feline, small animal, fish and herptile, and avian health and nutrition from the University of California, Davis Extension. Let's start with the easier of the two, and that is coats and sweaters. Not all dogs will require a sweater or coat. Generally, dogs that need a sweater or coat have hair as opposed to fur. A husky or Malamute would not need a sweater, for example. The size of the dog is not a factor as to whether they need or boxer, for example, are big dogs, but often requires something warm to wear in inclement weather because they have short-haired coats. A lot of smaller dogs wear a coat, some for fashion reasons, but also because little dogs often have, again, hair or silkier hair that just doesn't keep their bodies warm. Now, having said that, there are some smaller dogs that do have a pretty good fur coat on their own that do not necessarily require anything further. Pekingese, Corgis, and small Spitz breed dogs usually do fine with their own fur coats. But let's say your dog does need a coat or sweater. Sweaters are usually worn in the fall and early spring. Coats, snowsuits, and parkas are used once the snow is flying and temperatures really drop. Raincoats usually come out in the spring, and some people will put a raincoat over top a sweater to provide warmth, but also to keep the sweater and the dog dry. The advantage of the specific winter apparel combines the warmth and the waterproofing together in many options. But you do need to check to see if the outer layer of the coat is water resistant or waterproof. Snowsuits provide a whole body protection and help with keeping snowballs from accumulating on the legs. Plus, they provide a lot of extra warmth and work well if the dog is romping in snow as opposed to walking on cleared paths. One of the problems that pet parents encounter is the issue of getting the dog's harness over the coat. Well, Canada Pooch and Bailey and Bella have come out with coats that have a built-in harness. These coats are great because once you fit the coat, the harness is already there and ready to go. Some parents put the harness on first and the coat over top. If this is the style you choose, you will need to make sure that the coat or sweater has a little slit on the back to put the leash through to attach to the harness. Now, let's talk size and fitting. The biggest problem fitting coats and sweaters is not being prepared. The weight of a dog is, and I cannot stress this enough, means nothing when fitting a coat or sweater. Imagine a 60-pound lab and a 60-pound bulldog. Their shape is absolutely opposite, but they weigh the same. Most coats will have sizing on the labels. The sizing will ask you to know the dog's chest size, back length, and in some cases, their neck size. Many people will often come into a pet specialty store looking for a coat and have no idea what size their dog is. They will tell the person working the weight of the dog. Again, this means nothing. When asked if they measured the dog, they will say no, and then try and guess the dog's size. I've even had people show me a photo of their dog thinking I can figure out their dog's size based on this picture. I'm good, but I'm not that good. The ensuing scenario usually goes: the pet parent guesses at the size. We strongly recommend phoning home to see if someone can measure the dog or bring the dog in, but the pet parent believes they can accurately guess the size. They buy the coat, and a day or two later they return with the coat, all the labels torn off, and the inside of the coat full of hairs. Now, not every time does this happen. A lot of pet parents are careful, knowing that they may have to return the article, but not all. I'll give you a bit of an insight here. If the article comes back and the labels are able to be reattached and the inside is cleanable, meaning we sit with tape dabbing away to remove the hair, we can put the coat back up for sale. But if not, we can work around not having the tags. But if the inside has hair to the degree we cannot remove, the article is written off, and no, in most instances, it is not donated, as shelters and rescues, in my experience anyway, are not interested in apparel so much. So the article ends up in the garbage. This happens more than you realize with returned items, and I wish there was more awareness of the footprint here and a less cavalier attitude to returning items. In this case, a simple measurement could easily have avoided a destroyed product in landfill. Okay, I'll get off that soapbox for now and move on. Sweaters can be a bit less of a bother, as they often have some stretch to them, and they often come in the typical small, medium, large sizing. There are several makes of sweaters that will define what exactly is a small, medium, or large, and that again will be the girth, size, and length. All right, now it's time to address footwear. Oh my, this is such a crazy topic. Footwear for dogs is, in some cases, quite necessary. Some dogs are walked on the streets where salt has been copiously spread. This is nasty for dogs, as their paw pads can really take a beating walking in salt and end up cracking and even bleeding. As well, the cold on a dog's paw pads can be very uncomfortable, and many pet parents report their dogs stopping and lifting their paws, alternating to give a break from the ice-cold surface. Boots in these cases are quite valuable, but getting your dog to wear boots or finding ones that don't fall off is the challenge. And just to add another little pet peeve here, footwear for dogs has various styles. I'm going to go through your options, but please don't ask me for booties for dogs. This implication here is that you are looking for cute little socky type things. That is not the case. Boots for dogs is a chasm of choices, styles, and materials. Here we go. Let's wade in. Balloon boots. Balloon boots look just like balloons. They come in a package of disposable sets of balloons. They usually have a convenient paw graphic on the back, which allows you to put the dog's paw on it to match the proper size. They also have the size of the paw requirement in inches. A good way to size a dog's paw is to put their foot on a piece of paper and draw an outline of the paw while they stand with their weight on the paper. Then you measure the width of the paw and the length. You are then set to pick the appropriate size. Balloon boots keep the salt and the snow out of the paw pads. On a scale of difficulty for getting them on, 1 being super easy and 10 being super difficult, once you get the hang of it, balloon boots probably fall into the 4 to 5 difficulty range. Drawback on the balloon boots is that they don't really do anything for warmth, and the neck of the boot can be a bit restricting or tight on the dog's leg. Another style is the soft shell style that have a more purposeful sole, but the leg part is soft and has a Velcro strap to secure the boot and an elastic pull at the top. This can be quite good to keep out salt and snow and provide a bit of warmth, but also stay on if the boot has a good length of cuff. Whether it has a significant cuff will depend on the dog's leg length. And unfortunately, the correlation of foot size to cuff length will more than likely not coincide. Another style which can be really good is the hiker boot style. These boots have a really good tread and double Velcro to close the boot with a special gusset and a Velcro strap. Tundra has these. He has canine equipment and he has had them for years. They stay on even in deep snow. Some of the brands in this style, however, sell only 2. This means you have to buy a set for the front and a set for the back. Generally, dogs do have different size paws, front and back, so this is a more beneficial fitting for your dog. I have found that the cost of buying the front and the back separately basically comes out to the cost of the set of 4 I have for Tundra. Now, his set does say there's a pair for the front and the back. There are some other types of footwear that are fleece with a bit of tread, but I think these would become quite wet if worn outside. But if the purpose is for traction in the house, they could fit the bill. And last but not least, let's talk about suspender boots. The Canada Pooch suspender boots hit the market last year and went wild. This footwear is exactly as it sounds. They are a contraption where the boots with a long cuff are attached to straps that go up the dog's leg and are attached to another strap that goes down the dog's back and then to the back leg boots. Pet parents saw these online or wherever and thought they would solve all their boot problems. Well, for some people, they have been quite successful. But based on the amount of suspender boots sold and then returned, I would say not as successful for many. The problem with suspender boots begin with fitting or getting them on. The average struggle to get the boots on takes about 20 minutes. Depending on the dog, some are little troopers that just have lots of patience. Many have had enough after 10 minutes and won't stand still anymore. The next issue is trying to get the paw fully into the boot part. The cuff can be challenging to keep squeezing the front paw down into the boot part. Now, they do have long and short cuffs to accommodate different leg sizes. The next issue is the strap along the back. Quite a few pet parents have found that once the dog is in the boots, the length of the back strap doesn't allow the dog to actually walk freely as their range of motion is hindered by the back strap. The next issue is after struggling to get them on, the dog refuses to walk. I have even had pairs returned because the dog ran away and hid just seeing the boots. On the difficulty scale, I would say suspender boots are a 9. To be fair, some people have found them to be the answer they were looking for, but being frontline on the returns, I would say more are returned than kept. Now, before finishing up here, let's touch on cats. I have seen a few cats online that venture out in the winter wearing snowsuits and boots. There are some specific snowsuits for cats online and a limited selection of boots for cats. More than likely, the boots are just small dog boots. The snowsuits, however, may be cut to fit a cat's body, so it would be worth checking out if you have an adventurous cat who doesn't mind heading out for adventures in winter. The last piece of apparel for pets are eyewear. There are goggles for dogs that protect their eyes from snow, ice, bright sunlight, and snow reflection. Tundra has a pair, which makes him look super cool, but to be honest, he doesn't like wearing them. These goggles look a bit like swimming goggles, so I'm thinking he might prefer the style that is more like a ski goggle that are one full mask across the eyes. I've seen this style for dogs and cats. Tundra has blue eyes, so I am conscious of the brightness being a problem for him. We share this in common. Well, there you have it. What is the takeaway from this? Measure, measure, and measure. Come prepared, either with your measurements or bring your dog into the store to try on whatever you are looking for that day. If you buy something on a guess, be gentle so you can bring back the article for resale. And I also think it is important to assess properly your dog's actual need for a sweater or coat. I watched a couple have quite the disagreement over whether their dog needed a coat. The husband was adamant the dog didn't need one. The wife felt he did. After much going back and forth, they dragged me into the discussion for my opinion. This is when it was finally divulged the dog in question was a husky. I sided with the husband, being diplomatic, of course, but I don't know if we got our point across. The dog is a husky. He doesn't need a coat unless it has lost a significant amount of fur or is quite senior and needs that extra warmth. Well, as winter still hangs on in many areas, or you have the joy of seeing it wane, thinking about your dog's or cat's comfort during challenging weather can help your pet enjoy being outdoors and have them join you and the family in some winter fun. Happy winter adventures, everyone. Enjoy, because around the corner is flea and tick season. No! Well, that's for another day. Keep researching, because as I say, knowing is caring. Thank you for listening to Val Talks Pets. Please remember to follow or subscribe to ensure that you never miss an episode. To really help the show and to make it easier for others to find, please rate and review each episode that you find interesting and helpful. And don't forget that you can also email me at val@valtalkspets.com with topics you would like me to address or with any questions you may have. Also, check out my website at valtalkspets.com and let me know what you think and how we can improve upon it. Thanks for caring.